Okay, hi everybody. Let's get into it here. We're going to be playing Train Simulator Classic again, and we're going to be running through another one of my favorite scenarios. It's on the West Coast Main Line over Shap route, and the activity is Down Royal Scot. So let's get into that. We'll see if it loads. May or may not. Here we go. Okay, says, welcome to Preston. Once you've picked up passengers, you'll run non-stop to Carlisle. The departure time is 1500. Have a good trip. Okay, so we'll pick up our passengers. Take a look at our train. This is an electric. I want to say, yeah, Class 87. Number 87001, and its name is Royal Scot. So first we put our reverser in forward. And then we go inside the cab. We'll go through the throttle, how it works. It's kind of different from like a diesel or another electric. There's different notches that we'll go through as we go. 8 more seconds here. All right, here we go. Let's take the brake off. Put our throttle to hold, which is like neutral. And you can notch up, which moves it up one notch. Or you put it to run up. And let it to run it up until it's like 25 amps. And then stop. You go much higher than like 30, and you get wheel slipping. And away we go. Once it gets under 20, we'll run it up again. Run it up some more. Can't really be cranking too hard. Just do it at 35 mile an hour speed limit. So with that, we get to like 32. To run down. I might have waited a little bit too long. Oh, no, okay, we're good. We'll stop, we'll let it roll past this 80 mile an hour speed limit, and then we'll speed up again. Okay, back to run up. Again, we'll let it run up to like 25 amps. Take a little while now. That ringing bell when there's a little shoe on the track when you come close to a signal, and it rings basically to just get to your attention. And then for a speed limit going down or a yellow signal, it'll set off like a buzzer, and you'll have to acknowledge a button over here, and if you don't do it fast enough, it puts the train in emergency. So we'll try to avoid that today. So your speed's going up to 110 here. There's like a transition point in like the high 60s where your amperage will change on you. Just something to keep an eye on. I shouldn't have let it run up quite that high, but we got away with it this time. Clear signal. for those who don't know, this is the West Coast main line in England. We started in Preston, about halfway along it. The line runs from London up through like Manchester, along the west coast of England, and it ends in Glasgow in Scotland. The other side is the East Coast main line. They didn't build electric wires like this. They went with diesels. So you know the Deltic diesels, big giant double-ended diesel engines. They ran over there. Coming up, when we get to like 107, we'll go to run down. Run it down under like 10 amps, and then we'll use our notches to kind of adjust the speed from there. Close. And run down. Okay. Our speed should hold pretty stable as long as the grade doesn't change. But we want to stay a couple of ticks below the limit in case we come on a downgrade. The train takes off. There's a lazy sheep. Get up. I worked with an engineer when I was a real railroader. If he saw cows laying down in the field, he would lay on the horn. Get up, you lazy cows. The man was a lunatic, but I learned a lot from him. He also wore a Santa hat the entire month of December. I thought that's going to look real great if we get, in trouble or something. It takes all types. You were never going this fast, I can tell you that. And I'm not sure what all the little signs along the way mean. There is something called the neutral section. That was a whistle. Oops. Speaking of which, here's a neutral section coming up. So what we're going to do, about a mile away from it, we'll start our rundown because we want to be at 0 amps when we go through it. I'm not an electronics guy. I don't really know what's happening, but I know if you still have amps on when you run through that, it's bad. And that's bad. I shouldn't have done that. We get penalized somehow if there's still amps on there. I'm not sure exactly how it works. It's something to do with this. This does a thing. I don't know. You want this to be at 0 when you run through it. About a quarter mile to go. I think this shows your power steps. I don't know. And we're through, so we can start running up now. Your amperage is going to be it's going to be highest at 0, and then it goes down the faster you go. So if you can see your amperage going down and you're not adjusting your throttle, you're speeding up. And if your amperage is coming up and you haven't adjusted your throttle, you're slowing down. Say hi to the sheep. All right. Stick your head out the window. We're going 100 miles an hour. Look at our train. I think these are second-class coaches up front. I think they're Mark IIs. I think we have a restaurant car. And I think these ones with the gold stripe are first class coaches. And then we have an old Mark I brake coach bringing up the rear. Clear light. I like the scenery along this route too. For as long as it is, there's quite a bit of detail. Trailer park right by the tracks. One of my favorite routes for sure. And I normally prefer to run steam engines just because they're more interesting. There's more to do while you're kind of running along. Running the electric, it takes some getting used to, but it can be kind of fun once you get it down. Especially going this fast, that's fun too. It's like the exaggerated echo sound when it goes under the bridge. Is another neutral section here? No, it's not. Okay. Row houses or townhouses, I forget what the term is. Double-decker bus out in the countryside. That's cool. That signal freaked me out for a second, but it's on the siding. We're okay. We're good. So we have a change in speed limit coming up. So we'll run down. We have a yellow signal up ahead. So we'll have to acknowledge it. Let's get the brakes warmed up. Knock them off. We've got to keep that yellow signal in the back of our mind too. I think it was advanced, so this should be yellow and then this will be a stop. So we want to be stopped for this signal. down a pretty steep grade too, so we got to fiddle with the brakes a little bit. Yep, so that's a single yellow, which means this signal here should be red. So we gotta be ready to stop. So we might stop a little bit too early. Don't want that. Ease the brakes off, let her roll through. Put them back on. Running on time, I know. I would be running more on time if I didn't have this red signal here. Come on now, dispatcher, let's go. Hopefully if we can just slow down, it'll change in front of us. Doesn't look like we're going to be that lucky, though. So when we hit that shoe, this thing goes off. So, all right, we'll stop. Check our map. We can see what's going on. There's a train up in front of us. We have a yellow now. So when I was railroading, they would tell you don't start moving on a yellow. Just wait for it to clear and then start going. Since we're on an express train here and these people are in a hurry and presumably paid good money, we'll get moving and we'll just hope the guy in front of us clears. Let's just click to advance. Okay. That's good. So that means 2 signals away will be a red. What that means is we don't have to get ready. We don't have to creep up to the next signal ready to stop. We can roll through it, which is good. Pick up more speed. And watch for the signal up ahead. Stick my head out. Look. Clear. Okay, good. Our speed limit is 100 on the dot. Can cook now, although of course I think this is going to be a neutral section here. Yep, it is. Okay. It figures. Try and get all the speed on we can before that. Set to run down. You can see this is your amperage falling, and this is your power notches coming down. This is your horn. Pantograph, which is the pantograph is this thing. That's about it. A couple of brakes. And then you'll see when we go through the neutral section, this light here will come off. And then when it comes back on, start running up. Anyway, yeah, the pantograph is this thing here. For those of you who don't know, a diesel electric engine, like most of the engines in the US are, uses a diesel engine to generate electricity that then turns the motors. An engine like this, rather than generating electricity, they harvest it. They pull it off this power line, run it through transformers, and then turn the wheels with it. Gives you more power, but it comes at the expense of maintaining the lines and all that. So in this country, it didn't really catch on. But in Europe, with the generally shorter distances and a lot heavier traffic, trains need to move faster. It made more sense. Okay, our limit's up to 110. When we get close to that, we'll start running down on the power. This is Carnforth Yard here. Way back, it was where the UK's version of Steamtown was. The Flying Scotsman was based out of here for a while. I think one of the mainline steam operators is at West Coast Railways, I think, still uses it. I just like running these. It's just a variation on the notching up and notching down that you get when you're running the diesels. It gets old after a while, especially when you used to do it for a living. So our grade went up, going uphill now, so I'm going to run it back up to full power. Even then, we're going to end up slowing down just a little bit. That's one of those, if you get a jump on it, you shouldn't lose too much speed. We're actually picking up speed just a little bit. That's interesting. So yeah, we'll really have to watch when this grade levels out. Run the power back down. So we don't end up shooting down the other side of the hill. Just like that. You can use your individual notches. So here the amps are coming back up, I think. I'd like to have us drift. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. I'd like to keep us right around 107. Is it a closed station there? Yeah, it is. So we're back on level track, so let's see where we settle out speed-wise. We might have to notch up a little bit. We'll see. Then on the West Coast Main Line, this was the big hill, Shap. Speed restriction coming up, so we'll run down. We're going uphill, so we should slow down pretty quickly. May not even need to use the brake. We'll see. Back up to like 8 or 9 amps and see where we settle out. We're on a grade, so I just let it run all the way up. There's a couple like smaller hills, and then you get to Shap, which is the big long one. We'll run down. And under 100 it's easier because they give you tenths, so you can tell quicker if you're speeding up or slowing down. Still speeding up. We must be going downhill a little bit. Still speeding up. Okay. Oh. The neutral section coming up to keep an eye on. The neutral section, I think, is right at the base of the big hill, which seems like a great place for it. Neutral section and a drop in speed limit. Okay. Sit in here so we can keep an eye on the neutral, whatever that light's called, the one that tells you where the neutral section is. Yep. And back on, okay. Same as before, since we're on a grade, we're going to let it run all the way up. This is Oxenholm Yard. think the big hill starts right out of this station. Yep, here it is. Actually notch down just a little bit so we can duck under this 85 speed limit here. Something heavy coming downhill. Ore of some kind, or stone. Thought maybe it might say like stone extra or something. Try and stop the run up just when the train starts to speed back up again. 12 amps, okay. Oh, the sound echoes in this little cut there. That's cool. Seeing a steam engine come up this hill must be something else. I bet the sound is pretty neat. Trying to ease off just a little bit. It eased off a little too much. You can watch your speed or your amps. Either one's going to tell you. If the amperage goes up, you're still slowing down and you need to notch up again. There we go. Power down a little bit just to slide under this 80 mile an hour limit. Gotta slow down to 80 miles an hour. That's amazing. Up until we start speeding up again. Okay. We'll run back down because now we're leveling out here. want to slow down just a little bit more. Don't like being that close to the limit just in case we suddenly start going downhill. I don't know the name for this part of England, but it must be pretty country. Old viaduct. Diesel with another freight train. Ticking the power back up again. Okay, we're going to go back up to 90, so we'll floor it again here. All right, away we go. At 87, we might back off again just a little bit, but then we'll be speeding right back up again. So yeah, why don't we do that? Okay. The speed goes up again to 105 here in a mile and a half. Again with the echo effect, that's neat. We got a neutral section here, so we'll just let it run all the way down. Okay, back up. I think now we start, this might be the big hill. It's a great place for that neutral section there. It makes you kill your throttle right at the bottom of the hill. Clear signal. And up we go. 1 in 75. Shoot. I don't know what that is in percentages. 1 in 50 would be 2. So I guess it's a 1.5% grade. Is that right? Something like that. Not terribly steep by American standards, but pretty steep when you're trying to go this fast. This is another one you have to be careful. Just put a ton of power on trying to get up the hill, and then you get to the top and you're slowing back down. So power down to try and slide under that 80-mile-an-hour limit. Run back up again. Well, this is the summit right here, about a mile away. Powered down a little too much, slowed down a little more than I meant to, but it's all right. So we're running the power back down. We're running on time. Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is kind of tricky. It's going to speed up, but then we're going to run down the backside of the grade, so we don't really want to run our power up too much. We can let it run up, but we want to make sure we start backing it off earlier than I just did then. Cement plant there, it looks like. Closed station. Run the power down, and we probably will need some brake to slow down. So let's get the brakes warmed up. I say that on an American freight train air brake, you use what's called a minimum set. It just puts a few pounds of pressure on the brakes, and it actually warms the brake shoes up. And when the brake shoes get hot, they get almost like tacky. And then when you go to really set the brakes hard, a little bit harder, trying to slow down, it makes them grab that much better. Well, we need brake just to control speed here. Okay. So just put the brake on just a little. Let the speed come off, and then knock them off again. With a freight train, you wouldn't want to be doing that. Putting them on, knocking them off, putting them on, knocking them off. But on a passenger train, you can get away with it. It goes down to 70 here, so we need to be ready to slow down. I'm not going to start slowing down just yet. Maybe next time we have to put the brakes on, we'll just leave them on and slow down a little. We're going to be at our next station stop here in just a few minutes. And then, of course, it lets you speed up, but then there's a neutral section right after. So probably just leave the power off until we get through that. So we'll go duck back into the cab, so we'll keep track of our light here. Okay, now we're off. Whoa, speed coming up way too fast here. Yeah, we better start backing off. There's a couple of these phantom bridges here. It's all right. Who knows? I've never been to England. Maybe they really are that way. What do I know? We are going to need, I think, just a little bit of brake. Just a little bit. That's quite the spot there. Slow down some more for our 75 coming up. Actually need to start using power again, okay? Do that. And into Penrith, and you'll have to forgive me if I'm botching the names here. Another neutral section. I feel like we just had one. Okay, it's a mile away, so we'll run our power down. I don't know if railroads in England have a requirement that you whistle before you come through the station. They don't mark it anywhere on here. Unless you're supposed to stay here and watch for the sign, which is possible. I don't have the attention span for that. Okay, here comes the neutral section. Off and then back on. Okay, here we go. Speed limit's going back up to 105. Should be a racetrack, the last few miles in here to Carlisle. I'll be 110 here in a minute. Oh, there is a whistle sign there. Should have been watching for him, I suppose. That was for this little crossing. And then we're going to cross our 110 limit before we get anywhere near our 105, so that's good. Just keep speeding up. I don't know if I'd like actually running a real train this fast. I feel like I'd just be having a panic attack the whole time. 50 was bad enough. Although going 50, we were quite a bit heavier than this train is, I bet, but still. So we're back to kind of flat track, so we'll do our usual notch down, get it just under 10 amps, and adjust from there as we need to. Those, what are they called? The cows with the band around the middle. I think the real name is belted Galloways. Us civilized people call them Oreo cows. Each is a... down, we're speeding up just a little bit. Still speeding up. In the cab. Still speeding up just a little bit. What I'm watching for is to see our amps. I want to see it tick back up, or at least stay where it is. There it goes. Okay. And our grade's coming off too. So that's good. It's a cement train, I guess? Yeah. Need to power down. I'll slow down to 100 miles an hour. Run the power all the way down for right now. little bit more. Try and put power back on. I don't really want to speed up too much, but I don't want to lose too much either. I'm not going to run the power up. We're headed downgrade here. And then coming into the city, we're going to be slowing down some. But we're going to be stopping. We're going to be coming into a station stop, not just slowing down. Slow down, damn it. Come on. Does anybody know, it seems like all the trains we go by have the first class cars on the London end. Is that just the way it always was? I don't really know. It would kind of make sense. Boy, they give you a lot of heads up for that. Well, you really do come rocking right up to the platform here. Okay. We are going to go through a neutral section along the way, but it's the least of our problems. Ease off on the brake. We don't really need to slam on them anymore. We're way ahead of schedule, as you can see. Why aren't we getting any power? Or we are, it's just not showing it. Just lost it here for some reason. What's going on here? Why is this doing this? Okay. Weird. I feel like that's not my fault. Shouldn't have gotten those points taken off. Whatever. Slow down just a little bit. Watch the back end of the train. Station here. As we get all the coaches alongside the platform, we'll come to a stop. All right. Okay, and load passengers. And I think, oh no, this was a junction, engines going out to Stranraer would have diesels put on here. There's actually another scenario on this map where you do that. This engine, I think, would keep going all the way to Glasgow, I would think. Carlisle was a big junction town. There were lines going all over the place. Newcastle, Settle in Carlisle, Maryport, Lockerbie, which Edinburgh, and then this other line went down to Dumfries. Well done. That's it. That's all I have to say. Well done. Okay. Look at that. We got a gold star, even with our... Again, I think that's crap that they took those points off, but whatever. Still got a good noodle star. So a productive day. But thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.